Hello page turners, Jeannie here and welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. This is the place where you can get all your fun info on books, fitness, lifestyle, and all things random. Hello. In today's video, I'm going to share all the books I read in June. Well, not all of them, but some of them. Since I read so many books in 1 month, I'm going to start splitting up the videos. So this is going to be the first half of my June wrap up, and I will be posting the next half of my June wrap up. Okay guys, so I just want to apologize in advance because around where I live, they seem to be partying it up. But it's a vibe, right? We're just gonna vibe with it. We're just gonna roll with it. And we're gonna keep on watching this video. So stick around and don't leave. Just have that as some background music. And where did I go wrong? I lost a friend. So the first book I'm going to talk about is Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. Clockwork Angel is the first book in the Infernal Devices series. It's kind of like, you could say, the history behind the Shadowhunters series. Like, it goes into the past. First of all, I want to say that this was actually my first steampunk type read. And I must say that I pretty much enjoy that kind of setting. I like the whole atmospheric thing of it. The mood, the vibes in it was pretty cool. I also enjoyed that this one was faster pacing and there was like constant action going on. So I really appreciated that in this one as well, because I love a book that's like fast paced, action going on.
See, in this world, there's two kinds of people, my friend. Those with loaded guns, and those who dig.
There was also a lot of literature references in here, and that was pretty cool to see as well, because Tessa, one of the main characters in this one, she loves to read, which, yes, we are living for that, right? And she references a lot of like literature. Though I really love this setting because it took place in 18th century London, there were also some things that I really couldn't vibe with in this book. The thing is that I kind of felt like this was pretty repetitive, kind of like if I read it before. And basically, like, it was kind of like unoriginal because I felt like it was a replica of TMI, or as we know it, the Shadowhunter series. And maybe it could be because, this is the setting like before the Shadowhunter, like that part of the series. But yeah, I just felt like there was too many resemblances and like the characters were so similar. Like Tessa, I found her pretty interesting, but then at the same time she was annoying and kind of reminded me of Clary. I also found that there's like this similarity when it comes to like Cassandra Clare's storylines. So here are some of the things that I felt was kind of similar to the TMI series and this one. Just a little heads up, you may want to skip through this because there will be small little spoilers in reference to the Shadowhunter series and maybe a little bit with this one. So Clary was looking for her mom, who got kidnapped by the villain, and then she finds out that her mom has been hiding a secret from her. Tessa, who was looking for her brother, who also was kidnapped by the villain and who also has a secret that he was hiding from her. You see the similarity there? So Tessa avenging her parents was similar to Clary as well. This whole kidnapping thing, I just feel like it just was so similar and it was kind of boring because of that aspect. Then the other thing, seriously, another love triangle? Come on. Really? Did we need another love triangle? Not really. So I also felt like the characters were kind of like recycled, you know, like they was just used again, just look different, maybe talk different, and they were pretty similar to TMI characters. So here's what I think. So Tessa equals Clary. Will equals Jace. Jem equals Simon. And then Jessamine is basically a bitchier version of Isabel. So, yeah. Very similar. Like, these characters are just like, I literally felt like I was reading Clary still. I was still, you know, like reading about Jace, and just like in a different environment, let's put it that way.
Gotcha, bitch.
Although I did mention that some of the things that I did like was the action part of it, but that was pretty scarce throughout the book because the plot kind of disappears. Like the first few chapters, I was like, ooh, yeah, I'm interested, I'm invested in this story. And then like as I kept reading along, the plot just kind of like goes away, and then it just becomes this all these other things. And yeah, and then I kind of felt like it just dragged on. I also felt like it was very predictable. I guess it could also be because I felt that it just basically was TMI just recycled into like different names and characters and little itty bitty pieces of new things. But it was just like, I kind of predicted who, you know, the villain was, I guess you could say. I cannot stand when I find a book predictable, especially like so early on. I just lose interest after that. I have come to realize that for the most part, at least for me, Cassandra Clare does not write likable female characters. I don't know. If you feel that way too, pause the video and comment down below, because I really feel like her female characters are just not likable. So let's talk about these characters, right? So Tessa, who is the main character, I did not like her. She annoyed me just as much as Clary does. One of the main things, I mean, there's so many things I didn't like about Tessa, but one of the main things that I didn't like about her is that she is shallow as fuck. It was like this vibe you get from her, and just the things that she says as well. Like, it's like if you couldn't get by in life if you wasn't pretty. If you was ugly, then she would like view you like you're just, ugh, how do you even survive? How can you even live when you're like that? You know, like, and trust me, you'll get that from her because she just says these things. Excuse me? I felt like she was always secretly jealous of like the pretty women, you know, like she wouldn't talk about any of like the girls or women in the story that were pretty or that she considered to be pretty. She wouldn't talk about them in a positive way. Like, you know, she wouldn't be like, oh wow, she's gorgeous, you know, like, no, it would be like on some, oh, but you know, like it was just stank. Okay, you know what I mean. Okay. But enough about Tessa. Now let's get into Will. So Will is also a main character in here, and my first impression of him was, why the hell do people love him? I mean, what is wrong with you? Like, he is toxic as fuck. Like, listen, okay, please excuse my French, but these characters in here just really got me like, oh. He is such an asshole. Like, oh my god, there was so many times when I was reading this and I just wanted to like, like, how dare you say that? Like, I don't know what it is with him, but he just, insults everybody, brings them down. And if there's even like a little moment of him being nice, it like quickly disappears like that, because he has something mean to say like all the time. Then what really was the last straw for me was when Will basically suggested that Tessa become his personal paid girl. And yeah, you know, like, that's, to me, that was just like, all right, I'm done with you. I don't know if I'm gonna like you even after this, because that was just so like horrible. And yeah, I don't really care for Will, at least so far. I don't know if that's gonna change in the other books, but I am hoping maybe it does, but I don't know at this point. I really don't.
Keep your friends close, but your enemies closer.
Then there's Jem, who happens to be, like, he's an important character, but he's still like considered, at least in my book, like a side character. So I actually loved him, okay? Like, he was the only likable character for me in this story. Like, he's been through so much. He was tortured. He witnessed his parents' death. And you know, like, I just want all the good things for him. And though he been through all of that, right? And you would think, like, because he's been through all of that, he can, you know, he has a reason to be bad, right? Or mean or an asshole. But no, okay? Will needs to take some lessons from Jem, because he still treated people with respect. He was very kind, and he's just a nice, like, cinnamon roll, okay? Like, I love him. And I just want the best for him. I just want him to have everything he deserves, because he is just the cutest. But what I will say is that the one character that I really love is Magnus Bane, okay? So yeah, that's like the one character that I absolutely love. So with all of that being said, this book was just meh to me. So in my rating system, that would be considered a rating of 2.5 stars. Sorry, but not sorry. I mean, I know so many people absolutely love this series, but so far, the first book wasn't the greatest impression for me. However, I will be continuing on in this series, and hopefully it gets better as I keep going into the next book. And though this was a 2.5 read for me, I would still recommend it, because even though it wasn't like fully my cup of tea, and maybe it was because it's so hyped that it was just like, really? You know? But I would still suggest that you try it out and read it, and maybe see for yourself if it's your cup of tea. So this is the first half of my June wrap up. I will have the second half up on Thursday, so stay tuned for that video. And so another book I got to read in June is Stay Gold by Toby McSmith. So this one was another book that was actually my first transgender representation read, and I really liked it. I like that the author included like so much information in regards to, you know, like the transgender community and things that they go through, and even like definitions to like certain words that's used. And just so you're aware, if you're going into this one thinking it's like the fluffy, happy contemporary read, it's really not. This is more of a portrayal of the trans experiences. The author really exposes the painful truths behind what the trans youth and trans community has to go through, and mainly too, like on a daily basis, whether that's outside in the world or whether that's within their own homes. I also enjoyed Pony and Georgia's respective characters and their distinctive personalities. Like, it's told in dual perspective between Pony and Georgia, and I love that I can definitely tell the differences and they each have their own personality, which is very important to me if I'm reading something that has multiple perspectives. Now, the thing with this one is that I also felt like it was meant to educate more like non-trans than for trans teens that are looking to be represented. To me, it was like a like, but also a dislike for me, because I felt like we needed more of something that would represent the trans community. With that being said, I did kind of feel like there was a lot of information dumping in the beginning. It kind of made me feel like it was more of the author talking than Pony talking, if that makes sense. One of the things that really upset me in this one was that it took for so much bad stuff to happen for everyone to actually care and accept Pony. I also really didn't like that Pony kind of forgave everyone so quickly, because there was like a lot of mean things that was said, and like the way he was treated by some people, and it was just like that just like happened and they accepted him and he was like, okay, we're good to go, like. So there was like certain points in the book where I felt like things were very rushed, especially the ending, which is kind of what I was saying before with Pony forgiving everybody like nothing happened. I also didn't like that it was written in a way where going stealth, which means keeping the fact that you are transgender from others. So basically like keeping the fact that you're transgender a secret. And I felt like it portrayed it as a bad thing. So now let's talk about the characters. So one of the main characters is Pony. I felt so much for him. Like I felt so bad for what he was going through. Like he had a complicated relationship with his parents. His dad really didn't accept him, and his mom kind of just let it be, like she just kind of let things happen. She accepted him more, but it still gave you like vibes like he wasn't so accepted by his parents. However, he does have this amazing relationship with his sister Rocky, which I loved. And I felt like Pony was a genuine, compelling character. I loved that I was able to feel like everything that Pony was feeling and what he was going through. It was disheartening what Pony went through, but that's why I grew fond of him, because it was just so genuine and it was just so messed up at the same time. I just wanted all the good things for him. I wanted him to be happy and have everything he wanted. And then there's Georgia, who is also a pretty likable character. She does have flaws, but I still liked her because that's what made her relatable. I also found that Georgia was a lot of fun to follow. She has a pretty cool relationship with her friends, and her personality to me was pretty fun. And I felt that her character growth was executed pretty well. Like we got to see even her struggle with who she wants to be and her struggles with figuring herself out, which I found it pretty believable because this is like the typical high schooler type behavior. You go through high school trying to figure out who you are, who you want to be, what you want to do, so I really enjoyed that, and I think that the author did a good job with that. Then there's Max, who happens to be Pony's friend in this one. And yeah, I don't like him, okay? I cannot stand him. Max is a trans man, and he's Pony's best friend, who also happens to be a supporter of the LGBTQ plus community, and he's very out and proud, which I love that for him. However, I felt like instead of him being there for Pony, he was part of the problem. He pressures Pony into coming out because he did not like the fact that Pony was going stealth. He also threatens not to be Pony's friend anymore because he's not coming out. Then the other thing that got me was that he would say things that would make Pony feel like a disgrace to the trans community for being closeted and for going stealth. So basically, it's like, okay, you're this proud supporter and you're out and proud, which is a beautiful thing, but then you understand Pony and his life and the way he's treated by his parents, and yet you're just like, yeah, come out, like be part of the community, which even if you're closeted and even if you're going stealth and you are not comfortable enough to come out, that's okay. All right, you're still part of this beautiful community. And that was really upsetting. As you could see, I'm even getting upset about it now because Max just pissed me off, and maybe that's what the author was trying to do or portray, and maybe there's probably people within the community like that, I'm sure. But I just want to say to anyone out there who has someone like that in their life, you know what? They don't deserve you. You're still part of the community. You are beautiful and you do you. When you feel safe enough to come out, you come out. All right?
You want the moon? Just say the word and I'll throw a lasso around it and pull it down.
All in all, I really enjoyed this book and I really liked it. So with that said, my rating for this was 4 stars, and I would highly recommend it to anyone who's interested in reading more about the transgender community or their experiences. However, if you are trans, I would recommend it, but I just felt like you may or may not like it because I feel like the representation in that aspect is probably not something that you would enjoy or like out of it. Let me know in the comments below if you read this one and how do you feel about it. So another book I read, Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Gyasi. And so guys, I really enjoyed this one. I feel that the author did an amazing job with writing a narrative that felt so real. It was told from the perspective of Gifty, who is the main character in this story. So Gifty is surviving grief through the loss of her brother to addiction and the loss of her mother trapped in depression. So basically she's dealing with 2 loss, just in 2 totally different ways, but very similar in a sense. And what was so amazing too about the way the author put this together, besides the fact that we get this real character who's dealing with loss and pain and like just so many things in her life, the structure went back and forth in time, like the frenzied mind of someone who's dealing with grief. And to me, that was like another thing that I was just so blown away because guys, like this story is just like, when you really think about it, it's just such an amazing concept and such an amazing story, the way it's told and the underlying meaning of things. Gifty is another character that is a fully realized character that I love to read about. I love characters like that. She is dealing with so much, and yet she's still out here pursuing all her ambitions and her dreams, and like just anything that she wants, she is striving to achieve it. And I love that about her.
Life moves pretty fast. You don't stop and look around once in a while, you could miss it.
I also love that she is like experimenting while also trying to find herself and figure out who she is. She is such a complex character. Like, she has her flaws. She can be spiteful, but yet she can be kind and tender and just desperately seeking affection and attention. And it hurt me so much to see the mother-daughter dynamics. It just was so sad, you know? Like, Gifty just really wanted her mother's love and affection and attention, and yet she wasn't able to get that, and it was just so heartbreaking. And I just wanted, I know I say this about all the characters that I really loved or that have like so much going on, but I always just want the best for those characters, because you know, like, a lot of times those characters are so relatable, and I just want them to find happiness, and that's what I want for Gifty. With all of that being said, this one was definitely a page turner for me. I gave it a 5-star rating. I would highly recommend you pick this one up, even if it's a little sad and heartbreaking. So listen, guys, I don't know what it was with June, but there was some pretty emotional books in June. Another book I decided to pick up is The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. Hopefully I said that right. I thought the concept, the story, and the writing was really good and enjoyable. I also like that we got to see Nora learn from each scenario of these different paths that she could have taken. However, what I will say is that I really wasn't satisfied with this book. Nora's journey was the premise of this story, but I just wasn't interested at one point. I felt it was repetitive and it started to get boring. Then the ending was predictable from the start, which made everything less interesting. Then Nora as a character for me was pretty dull and so unrelatable. I just didn't find her interesting at all. With that being said, this one was a meh story for me as well. I gave it a rating of 2.5 because, well, quite honestly, did I hate it? No. But was there anything I liked? Also no. So yeah, I was kind of struggling with this one. I didn't know if I should have gave it a 2-star or a 2.5, but I think I'll just leave it at 2.5. And maybe it's because it's in a parallel universe, and maybe that's just not for me. So if you're not really into parallel universe, you know, type stories, then I would recommend that you don't pick it up. However, if you love that, then definitely this just might be the one for you. Another book I got to finish in June is House of Hollow by Crystal Sutherland. And guys, let me tell you this, okay? This book had everything I wanted. It was magical, atmospheric, thrilling, and super creepy. It was so creepy, okay?
Warriors, come out to play.
Like, it literally gave me the heebie-jeebies. It was that creepy. And I absolutely loved the writing style. It was so lyrical and dark. And I love those two combinations. Is definitely my type of vibe. It was just like such a great creepy read, and I absolutely loved it. Things did get a little slow in the middle, and I started to feel like things were just put there and didn't really need to be there. I also love that the characters were pretty enjoyable and that this story had little bits of humor, but there was a whole lot of strange, okay? But it's like if the humor kind of like eased you down, or like if you was like kind of scared or like creeped out, it kind of made it a little better. And then the creepiness would come back. But all in all, this just made my heart tingle with joy, and I really enjoyed this one. So with all that being said, this to me was awesome, and I rated it a 4.5. Like I said, it was just everything I wanted, and I would highly recommend that you pick this one up if you have not read it yet. However, what I will say is that maybe you should consider picking it up in the fall, because I think it just gives all the fall vibes, all the creepiness, and definitely add this one to your fall TBR. And so another book I got to read in June is A Court of Wings and Ruin by Sarah J. Maas. I really enjoyed it. It was so intricate and magical, and it was just such a great journey to take with Farah and Rhysand to the events that led up to the war.
They may take our lives, but they'll never take our freedom!
Like, I was immediately sucked into this world. I was immersed. I was in it. Like, I was just very satisfied with it. I love that we also got to know the other characters a little more, and they weren't just like on the side in this book. The plot twist in here left me speechless, okay? Like, and that doesn't happen very often. Then the feelings I felt, ooh, those feelings, man. I was all over the place, okay? It kind of felt like I was on an emotional roller coaster ride. I was either cheering them on or biting my nails, laughing, just overall, just emotional. It was nice to see like the way this story unfolded, and I literally felt like it was like a band-aid, okay? Like I had a band-aid, and like it was just being taken off slowly. That's how like crazy this one is and how emotional I felt. And one thing I can say is that as far as like the pacing and the way the events led up to everything, it was perfect, and I was definitely satisfied with the ending. And a lot of times I don't get that when it comes to a series finishing off, so I was pretty satisfied with this overall. So if you couldn't tell already, this was a page turner for me, okay? And I rated it 5 stars. And I am excited to continue on in this series and read A Court of Frost and Starlight and A Court of Silver Flames. And I would definitely recommend this if you have not read this series yet. So tell me what you thought of these books and my thoughts on it. Have you read any of these books? Because if you did, please let me know down below. Tell me how you feel, if it's similar to my thoughts, if it's not. Listen, I don't mind. I love hearing your thoughts.
Show me the money.
You hit that like button and subscribe to my channel. Make sure you look out for the next part of this video that will be going up on Thursday. Thank you guys so much for watching. I love you guys so much. Until next time. Bye.